Ladies and gentlemen, please joining me in giving a warm welcome back to our friends Katie Couric and Tony Blair. Thank you.
Let's talk about Iraq, because I know that's a subject that people are still very interested in this country. And you've said that you regret the loss of life in Iraq, but you have not wavered once until in your support for the mission. There's a lot more to the story, I think, and in fact, I asked my Twitter followers, do you tweet, by the way?
Not intentionally.
I guess if your computer skills are challenged, you probably don't do that, right?
I don't know. I think it's probably better I don't get into that. Yeah. You do that, though, yeah?
I try
but
to.
But you can't send a very long message, no?
No, it has to be 140 characters or less. So it's challenging, but it's actually, very popular, but blah, blah, blah. Anyway, someone who follows me on Twitter wrote, press him for details on Iraq, because I asked if they had things they would like to discuss with you. So you wrote, the decision to confront Saddam flowed in the US from September 11th, but the confrontation could, in theory, have remained and been a successful diplomatic exercise. Does that mean you believe that if Saddam Hussein had simply opened his doors to weapons inspectors, that this war could have been avoided?
Yeah. I mean, I think if he'd done essentially what Gaddafi did in Libya, because he had there was the same issue with the Libyan program. And actually what the Libyans did was they brought in the inspectors, they declared the whole thing, and that was the end of it. So when we got the November 2002 resolution in respect of Saddam, had he complied with it, that would have been the end of it. And I was very, very clear about this actually with President Bush, with the American administration, and indeed he was clear back. But that's not what happened. And I think that the thing that's most difficult about this is, in a way, people say, well, if he didn't have an active WMD program, then why didn't he just let the inspectors in and agree to their demands and so on? And I think the answer to that is actually found in the Iraq Survey Group report, which is the report compiled by the inspectors we sent in after Saddam fell and when they conducted interviews with the senior personnel there and with Saddam himself. And actually there's a fascinating book written by the Chief Inspector, Charles Dulfer, all about this, which is really worth reading, because you then understand what happened with the intelligence failures, and also why, in my judgment at least, Saddam was still a threat.
The Queen.
Amazing and gracious, and a very extraordinary person. And the thing, one of the things that was hardest for me, because I actually remember when I came to see her to be Prime Minister, and she actually said to me, as I sat down opposite her, she said, well, my first Prime Minister was Winston, and that was before you were born.
Thank you for leading me to my next question.
Yeah.
It may be a tempest in an English breakfast teapot, but the screenwriter of The Queen, a gentleman named Peter Morgan,
I've heard about this
suggested that some of the dialogue that you write about meeting the Queen for the first time is eerily similar to the film The Queen, which I know you've said you've never seen. You wrote that Elizabeth said, and I'll just repeat it, you were my 10th Prime Minister. The first was Winston. That was before you were born. But Morgan's script says, you were my 10th Prime Minister, Mr. Blair. My first was Winston Churchill. He's suggesting you had a few too many G&Ts before you wrote that passage. What gives?
Well, what gives is very simple. I've told that story for many years, so I don't know.
So is he unfairly claiming ownership of that encounter? Or?
Well, he's certainly wrong if he's claiming it didn't happen and he put it in the script. So I don't know. 'Cause I actually haven't seen the film for a reason I have also always explained, which is when the film came out, The Queen. I mean, my wife's seen it, my kids have seen it, everyone's told me about it. But I was sitting literally like this with the Queen, and she says to me, I hear there's a film. The thing about the Queen is she is the Queen, right? So, I said, yeah, yes, ma'am, I think that's true. And it said, yes, about us. I said, yes.
Awkward.
Said, well, I just want you to know that I shan't be watching it. So I said, after a pause, I said, well, I won't either, of course. And actually,
is that why you've never seen it?
Well, it sort of is, funnily enough. I mean, although I don't actually have I kind of feel if I've lived through certain events, because they made several films, and there's just one about the special relationship between, which is about myself and Bill Clinton and all the rest of it. And I honestly, you know, my taste in movies is not to watch things about things I lived through, because I know what'll happen. I'll just be sitting there saying, no, that didn't happen, right? And why haven't they, and all the rest of it. So, no, I haven't. But as I say, the rest of my family haven't. Actually, they tell me it's a very good film, so. I do. The other thing is, when I'm in America, there will always be someone who comes up to me and says, oh, I did like you in that movie. I mean, that's, you know, that's probably as good as it gets.
I'll just remind everyone, the book is called A Journey, My Political Life. We so appreciate you spending time with all of us tonight, and best of luck in all your future endeavors. And I got through a lot of my questions. I have many more, so maybe you'll come to CBS another time and we can sit down and finish this interview. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.